Good day everyone. Today's video lesson is about motion and reference point. So here are the goals of today's video lesson. Number one, we will define what is motion. Secondly, explain how motion is relative to a reference point. And talking about a reference point, we will begin with the definition. What is a reference point? So a reference point is a relatively stationary or fixed object used to determine if something is moving. So it's actually something that we can compare with object that is moving. So with that comparison, we can say whether the object is in motion or not. So these reference point can be buildings, it can be anything like trees, cars, road signs, and other relative stationary object. So why I am keep on mentioning the term relative? Because that concept is connected with our idea about motion. So furthermore, let us understand this situation in our slide. So we are asked if the car, is it the car that is moving or the trees that are moving? So how do we answer this question in relation to motion? So we are going to establish or determine our reference point so that we can identify which one, which object, which body is in motion. So if we are going to consider the driver in the car as our reference, so relative to the driver inside the car, he sees the trees outside moving. Yes, that is because we are using the driver as our reference point. Using, based on the driver's own perspective, what he sees outside are the trees that are moving and not the car. But in other references, like using the tree as a reference point, it could be both the driver and the car that are in motion. In other words, it is the car that is moving away farther from the tree. So which one is really in motion, the driver or the car, or it is the tree? So the answer to that question is motion is relative, meaning motion depends on the observer's perspective. So in that situation, based on a certain reference, the car is in motion. And it's also correct to assume that in other reference, the tree as well is in motion. So here are the key points in our concept about motion and reference point. So we can only say an object is in motion if it changes position relative to a reference point, or if it changes position from a starting point. Secondly, a reference point helps determine if an object is moving or not. And motion is relative depending on the observer's perspective. At this point in time, I am giving you challenge questions that help you think about the concept of motion and reference point. So you're going to write your answer in 1/2 crosswise. Question number 1. Give an example of motion in daily life. So you just have to describe that example of yours of motion that you do every day or that is present every day. Second, why is motion considered relative? So you're going to explain why motion is relative. Third, if you're sitting in a moving car, are you moving or stationary? So explain your answer based on our discussion. And lastly, the Earth moves about 30 kilometers per second around the Sun. So mind you, it's not 30 meters per second, but it is 30 kilometers per second around the Sun. If you're going to ask me, yes, that is extremely fast. It's around 30,000 meters per second. Okay, that's how fast it is. A race car perhaps can move around 300 kilometers per hour, but the Earth is moving 30 kilometers per second or 30,000 meters in 1 second. But even the Earth moves as fast as that. Why can't we feel it? So explain your answer using motion and reference point. Thank you so much, grade 7, for your time and cooperation. And always remember, King Juan Learnings, keep going, keep growing, enjoy learning.